All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Track Talk. I'm very excited to have with me today one of my absolute favorite drummers and humans. And it's a great honor to welcome Joe Vitale to Track Talk. And today we're going to discuss Crosby, Stills, Nash, Southern Cross, and Joe's beautiful drumming and that incredible song. So, welcome, Joe. Great to see you.
Hi, John.
Thanks for being here, buddy. All right. We got some folks watching. This is great. This I'll just set this up quickly with everybody too. I had Joe on live from my drum room. Believe it or not, Joe, it was 2 years ago. It was the summer of 2021 when I first had you on, just as an interview. And I know we talked a little bit about this song, but I knew at that time I really wanted to do a separate, episode just to talk about this song because I think there's just so much. It's such a beautiful song to begin with, but there's so much to the drum part in this
And
song.
it's really great that you're doing the deep tracks. We touched on tracks, back in 21, but now that you're doing the deep track stuff, it's really cool. And it's good for insight, excuse me, whatever we can give on insight. And also, I watch because I want to, like the other day with Max, I wanted to hear what Max Weinberg did on songs and stuff. And that was a great podcast the other day with Max. I love
Thank
Max.
you.
He's great.
Me too. Me too. I know. And I'll just quickly say, with Max, it was great. He was so, chatty, I guess, for lack of a better word. And, I had all these other things I wanted to talk to him about because I figured I'd be sort of having to extract things from him. But man, he was just so animated and happy to
Yeah,
talk. And I
very
just,
informative.
yeah, it was
Incredible.
really great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're always, this is the third time now we've done this, and you're always so great and informative
Chatty
when.
Cathy here. That'll date people. That'll date some.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this song. So this song, we sort of touched on this the last time, and I know it was a song, and I'm going to sort of hand it off to you in a second, but to sort of set it up, it was a song that you guys had been playing on the road. You told me it was a song that you really sort of worked all the nuance and all the ins and outs like on tour, which I thought was a really cool backstory. I never realized that.
Well, Stephen, we did a lot of that with Stephen's solo band too, and Stephen had this thing where he didn't always sometimes he did, but he didn't always like to go in the studio cold with a song. Hey guys, I got a new song, let's work it out, and that's fine. It works for a lot of people, but for some reason Stephen has this thing, and I really agree with him on this. He said, let's throw it into our set. Yeah, nobody will know the song, but you know what? That's the best way to get response. Also, you can iron out all this stuff. You can figure the
Yeah.
tempo, you can figure the energy, the key. That's another big thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people go in the studio and they record something and they're like, it's singing like this, and good luck on the road, when you're singing for 2 hours. But so he would run through all this stuff, and it would funnel down into this beautiful arrangement, and it was the right key, it was the right tempo, it was the right feel, it was the right instrumentation. That's another thing. A
Yeah.
couple of the guys were playing electric, and Steve go, wait, 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 we need more acoustic. This is an acoustic song. We'll have some electric. So there's all these things that I just loved that theory that he developed. I'm sure other people do it, but I don't see it a lot. But because I think people, big groups, are a little nervous about throwing new stuff or never heard
Yeah.
before on a big major tour and all that. But you know what? They're fans. They want to hear, they don't mind hearing it. You can't put a whole bunch of those in a set, but so Stephen he loved to do that, especially with his solo band. We had a solo blues band, which was killer. And he would test run a lot of music like that. So by the time you get to the studio, you not only know the song well, but you've really ironed out all the rough edges, and it's developed into, now we got this thing is feeling good, it sounds good, it's in the right key. Um, Big mistake a lot of us made years ago when we were in our 20s and we could sing, high C and high C's and stuff. And then, 40 years later, it's a little rough to hit those notes. But so he was able to figure that all out. And then when we went into the studio, we knew the song, we knew the feel. It was real relaxed. It was real
Yeah.
comfortable, and that's one of the most relaxed tracks I've ever been on. It just feels like it's just lazy and laid back, and it's beautiful.
Oh man, the feel is ridiculous. And we're gonna play it pretty soon. I don't want to wait till the end of our conversation because I want to play it. I'm sure everybody watching has heard this song, but I think it'll be good for us to talk about a few things and then get right to it. You know, the feel. We'll come back to that. I'm curious to know. Did you know pretty much right away where the tempo was going to be? Did Steven have an idea? Did he sort of I'm guessing is and there were two other songwriters, right? Rick Curtis and Michael Curtis,
Curtis Brothers,
the
right?
Curtis
Yeah.
brothers.
And no, they had this idea, and Steven took it and just made a beautiful song out of it. And
Yeah,
it's
that's what it
that
sounds
includes
like.
the Curtis brothers, of course,
Yeah,
but they didn't have it. I don't know that it was completed or whatever the situation was. It was a long time ago. I can't really remember, but Stephen grabbed it and took a hold of it because he heard something there, and he wrote new words, and
yeah,
and all that vocal arrangement and everything. So, but anyway, as far as the you were asking about the tempo and stuff.
yeah,
Well, the tempo that came down because see, when you play something live, the first thing is it's too fast,
yeah,
because you're
yeah,
excited and there's people out there. So, and that had a lot to do with my part as well, because a little faster than what we did it, I would not have probably, if I remember right, at the tempos we were starting to do it at the beginning, I was more like eighth notes on the hat. And
yeah,
it didn't nothing, it didn't feel right. So Steven said, all right, we're going to bring this thing way down. And when we brought it way down, it seemed slow because that always happens when you play something too fast for a while. Then when you bring it way down, it seems like it's dragging. It's not dragging though. But so that enabled me to go to sixteenths on the hat, which made it was a different foot pattern then, and it made a whole different a world of difference in the feel. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. When we
yeah,
started, it was a little quick. There was more electric guitars on the stage than it needed to be. It was more we needed more acoustic guitars on the stage. And Steven does an electric kind of a solo and a really beautiful, cool little
mm,
solo he does in it. And but you know, it evolves when you play it live, and in a good way. And so, you know, why burn up studio time? Costs a lot of money, and it
yeah,
eats a lot of brain cells, you know. And you know, why not go in there and have at least, you know, you can make some changes in the studio, but it's really cool to go in knowing the song and just trying to arrive at that magic. That's all we had to do in the studio was get the magic. We already got the arrangement and the key and everything like that. So a lot of times people go into the studio, and this is just advice that I got from people I work with. It's not, I didn't make it up, but I totally agree with it that, you know, you don't have to do them live, but geez, before you go to the studio, go to a rehearse the songs or play them a while, you know, play
yeah,
them a bunch, get comfortable with them. And, you know, why burn up a lot of studio time and money and stuff trying to figure out the way to play it, you know? So I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
where the magic is on this tune. We it evolved to this great place, and then the vocals are spectacular, and you know, and so it was just one of those songs.
Yeah, and you answered my question. I probably didn't ask the question really the right way too. And it sounds like it probably you had to arrive at the right tempo. Like in other words, as you said, because I thought the same thing. You play a song live, and just instinctively, I think a live band is going to play something a little faster when you're in front of
Always,
10,000, 20,000 people. Yeah, you're gonna.
always.
Yeah, so good for you guys, especially. And when we talk about Steven, I think everybody knows this. We're talking about Steven Stills, of course, of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and the his ability to sort of you know see the big picture and want to bring the tempo back a little bit to make it what it became. To have it evolve to what it became.
Right. And
Yeah,
also, you know, that if you think about the vocals, that's another thing that helped bring it down when the lines, you know, think about how many times I have fallen at a fast tempo, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Those chorus words. you got to fit them in to certain tempos, and so that also helped in slowing down the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, and especially like you were saying at the beginning too, your part, the 16th notes to me, I know I'm biased because I'm a drummer, but to me that is such a big part of the song because of the feel that you create with those 16th notes. It's just and I stand corrected. I said to you earlier that I heard Jimmy Buffett play it a bunch of times, and his drummer Roger Guth. I thought I recalled him playing 16th notes, but I think they were more, as you said, eighth notes, more
It
swung
was eighths, yeah.
eighth notes. Yeah, and
I listened as well. It
yeah,
is
yeah,
eighth notes, and it's not wrong, but it's just not right. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
wrong, but it's a whole the reason I like the 16ths also a lot of people don't realize when you play them on eighths, it's a whole different foot pattern, and it because with the 16ths, it's almost like kind of a dotted foot pattern then, and
yeah,
it all encompasses this feel, so the eighths, I've heard other people do it, and it's like that's it's not quite right, and when you play somebody else's song, whether you're sitting in or whatever you do, you should try to listen to what was done on the record because all the records that are out, all the songs that are out that have been recorded, you know, that final master, they arrived at that master through they tried everything to
yeah,
get there. So they've tried all the stuff you're going to do, they've tried it and they didn't like it.
yeah,
So
yep,
you have to listen to what was on the record because a lot of people don't realize that, that is the master, and they've already tried a whole bunch of stuff, and between the band, the writers and the producer, whoever, they arrived at, no, this is the way to play it, and we like this the best. And so when you're learning songs or you're going to sub for another drummer, or try to get a gig with a band, you know you need to put some phones on and really dig into what the drummer did.
yeah. I can't imagine if I were ever in a band or had an opportunity to play this song with a band. I can't imagine playing it any other way, or at least trying to play it the way you played it. I know I could. I've tried. I've sat down and tried to play this song, and it's, I think, like a lot of things you do, Joe, and a lot of great drummers like Ringo, and we've talked about, you might be able to get the sticking together, but to copy your feel, for me, it's impossible. It's just, you
Well,
just,
it's you got to blame. Sometimes you got to blame the rest of the band because if they play it too fast, the 16ths are. It's not going to be physically difficult. It's just not going to feel. It's going to feel like you're rushing or something.
yeah, yeah,
But the band tends to play it too fast. You play it with 16ths, you might get worn out doing it, but it's not the same as if the band at least tries to play it in the right tempo.
yeah. And the song breathes. I can't think of any other word other than, like, when you listen to, the little subtle rests at the end of each verse, when you kind of
Right,
come to the end
right.
of the measure. Yeah, and it's just, there's this, it's like you're letting out a breath and then taking another breath. I can't describe it any other way. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's the relaxed part of it, and that's from doing it and playing it a bunch and
Yeah,
finding out that there's magic that happens on a stage, just because you try things, and sometimes you make mistakes, but not all the time, and sometimes you get magic by doing that. You try different things, and it's the creating process, and so um, we I think we added we found that that's really cool to have a little pause there, a little breath, and I don't know, whatever we did, each night you play it, and try different things, and but the biggest thing about that tune that helped that tune was, I feel, was bringing the tempo down to
yeah.
where it really, really flows real nice. It's real smooth.
It's so smooth. And we're pretty much the same players on the record that had been touring with CSN. Like, was it
Yeah,
pretty much the same
it was.
band?
We had a couple of different people, but the bulk of the play, it was, I played drums, and George Chocolate Perry played bass. The great Mike Finnegan, the late
Yeah,
great Mike Finnegan, was
yeah,
playing keys, and he also sang on it. And also on that particular cut, we had a guest singer, none only than the Eagles' Timothy B. Schmidt. He did some singing on that as well, and so we. But it was basically the core band
Yeah.
that had been on the road, and we had a couple other people that play a little bit, but
And
it was basically us.
Joe Lala as well on
Yeah.
percussion.
Oh, yes, definitely the
Yeah.
late great Joe Lala.
Like,
Joe
yeah.
Lala. We toured together with CSN for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, Joe, and Joe was in Manassas with Stephen Stills' Manassas band. So,
Right. Right.
and boy, I was sad losing him. He was such a great guy, great player. And boy, when you played, when you were the drummer and he was the percussionist, man, it was locked.
Yeah, you can hear. I mean, yeah. I mean, and that song in particular, the groove you guys have between the two of you is just, it's, yeah, unmistakable. How about one? Should we play the tune and we'll come back and talk
Sure.
about it a little bit more? All
Yeah.
right. So here we go. I'm going to play Southern Cross. Hopefully we can hear this. Here we go. Southern Cross, CSN, Joe Vitale on drums.
Got out of town on a boat going to Southern Islands, sailing to reach before a following sea. She was making for the trades on the outside and the downhill run to Papa Ede. Off the wind on this heading line, the Marquesas. You got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way. In a noisy bar in Avalon, I tried to call you, but on a midnight watch I realized why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I had fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will. When you see the Southern Cross for the first time, you understand now why you came this way. 'Cause the truth you might be running from is so small, but it's as big as the promise of a coming day. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, my dreams are a-dying, and my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship, and all her flags are a-flying. She is all that I have left, and music is her name. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I've been around the world. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will, and you know it will. tested, and we never failed to fail. It was the easiest thing to do. You will survive being bested. Somebody fine will come along, make me forget about loving you. In the Southern Cross.
Wow,
That's a
man.
nice tune. Yeah, and when it hits
Ah.
that chorus, I have been around the world. I can still see all the Bic lighters. Now that's cell phones, I know that,
Yeah.
they just love that song. That's one of the biggest sing along ones. That CSN had. Everybody knew all the words to CSN songs, but for some reason, man, the audience participation in this one is just
Ah,
was unbelievable. They all sang that, and of course, to prompt that, Stephen would grab the mic and hold it out to the audience. So everybody does that, and then
yeah.
everybody sang. But yeah, the Bic lighters and the vocals and really good times. It was fun doing that song for like 30 years.
I can imagine. That would be a highlight for me. I mean, let's talk about it too. Let's talk about, we got into a lot of the intricacies of the tempo and all that stuff, but you're playing what you actually played. Um, playing the tom toms during the chorus. Those I don't know how you describe those fills, but those almost like a triplety thing you do on the tom toms.
Yeah, what it was like uh, I was answering, and Stephen actually wanted me to do that. I was kind of answering in the vocal. Think about how many times, ba ba boom, I
Yeah,
have fun, ticka doom. It's, and I said I don't want to step on the vocals. He said, no, you're going to answer the vocals. I said, okay, cool, and it was really work good, and but the basic pocket was with those 16ths in the foot. That was once you established that and you got that in your blood. That feel.
yeah.
All the little extras were just came naturally.
Well, yeah, I think you're being humble though, Joe, because I agree. The 16s really are the secret sauce, but those little answering little fills you did to Steven's vocal, I think are, the dynamics between that and what you're playing during the verses. You're playing these. It's really a soft, smooth, clean 16th note pattern. And then you play those big tom tom. That's kind of like a Joe Vitale to me, like a Joe Vitale trademark. Those you do a lot of that stuff with Joe Walsh as well. Those tom tom fills, but it's like another, like another level of just a great, tasty little part that you throw in there.
Well,
Um,
and also for drummers out there that want to play this song, uh, tighten the hat. In other words, step on it pretty good to make it a nice tight hat, and play it lightly. It's not a big hat sound. It's
yeah,
just like the tip on the cymbal, and just tighten up them hats, and but with a big snare. So it's that big backbeat that really helps with the 16s. And there's like about three or four different ways you can play it, but I think there's only one that works.
yeah, yeah. You know, it sounds so simple, but that's what you said is so important. And I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching to young drummers, but I think it's so important to understand what you just said is you need to be able to separate your two limbs. And in the case, you're a right-handed drummer, so what you're playing on the hat is this softer, lighter, more subtle touch, and then you're playing a good solid backbeat with your left
Right,
hand, and you
right,
can't do them evenly. You can't play your right hand as strong as you're hitting the backbeat,
right,
and that's probably a mistake some people might make trying to play that song.
right,
Yeah, just to, I mean, you'll get a different effect, I guess, if nothing else, if you're trying to,
right,
you know,
right.
yeah. I think that's, the other thing too, we talked about those little breaths, those little pauses, and there's those little soft little hi-hat barks that you do, and then very subtle cymbal crashes, and they all kind of fill in all these different places in the song, I think.
Right, and those little stops, it was I probably had a I think I had like a 12 splash or something that and it just lightly touch it, and with a foot, and it was not a big event, those stops. They were just supposed to be a pause. But the drums didn't just stop. There was a cymbal crash, but it was a very
Yeah.
light crash, and
Yeah.
and I don't know, it just you just got to be careful with dynamics, especially with a song like this. You can't be too bombastic on any part of it, except that nice big backbeat,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's, like I said, a couple times I've seen bands do it, and they didn't play it wrong. They never played it wrong. They just could have gone a little further in the dynamics, and I'm not criticizing them, but that's what, But if you don't play it like Bonham did, when you really do play it like Bonham did, it's amazing. Like "Fool in the Rain," those kind of grooves that when you start to really listen to what he did, if you can arrive at that, boy, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And but
Absolutely.
but the eighth notes thing, I'll show you what I mean. Here, can I play this?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Here's the wrong way to play it. I'm sorry. Here, right? That's way boring, way wrong. You gotta go. So it's just it's just a much lighter touch, and also, but you're using sixteenths, so it moves in. I don't know. It's kind of stiff when you just play at eighth notes. Now,
Yeah.
like I was saying, when we first started doing it, and we were playing it, dun 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 dun. It was just, man, they were sounded like mumbles. So we slowed it way down. Once we slowed it way down, that eighth note feel just was dragging, just didn't sound right. So I went to sixteenths, and Steven turned around and gave me a thumbs up. And Joe Lala, he coordinated that with me. We actually changed our whole part, and once we did that, boy, the pocket got real good.
And that was and all that happened while you guys were on tour. That was like over the course of playing it
Yeah,
different, you know.
and a lot of times there's another thing. You don't always have to play them. I like playing them in front of audience because you gotta, how brave are you, and but you can also work that stuff out at sound check, or at rehearsal or whatever, before the gig. But Stephen liked to do them live, and we did that, not as much with CSM. With his solo band, if he had a new song he was working on, all that, he would always want to throw it in, and just because it's fun, and it's test drive it, and see what
Yeah.
happens. But really helped on Southern Cross.
Yeah, man. And do you remember the drums that I think you told me quite a while back that you used a Ludwig superphonic snare. I think
Absolutely.
that's what you're using. Do you remember what were you using Yamaha drums at the time? I think
No,
no.
no, that was a '67 Ludwig kit.
That was the Ludwig kit that you used with Joe Walsh, the same.
That's the same kit from Rocky Mountain Way.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And
And it had a '65 Superphonic, which I love, and just two up, one down, two rack, one floor,
yeah.
and it was a good recording kit, and made a lot of records with that kit.
Okay, that's so I wondered that. So that was the kind of the kit that you used kind of for pretty much
Yeah, I
everything back
used
at
that
that
kit
time.
on Rocky Mountain Way. I used that kit on Life's Been Good. Uh, Geez, I played, I recorded a bunch with that kit, and eventually I switched off, but I kept using a Superphonic because it's such a renowned recording snare drum, and by the way, before I forget, Joe Testa from Zildjian I spoke with, and he said to remind you that he's better looking than you. Leave me out of it. Leave me. Don't shoot the messenger.
you don't you don't have to remind me. I know that. I know
Yeah.
that. And you're better
Anyway,
looking than both of us, Joe.
he is. He's better looking than both of us.
No,
I had a great
you are better.
conversation with
You're better looking than both of us.
him.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
funny.
he's a good man. He's a
He
good
is a
man.
good man. Yeah, he is. That's so funny. That's too funny.
Well, he better be watching.
Yeah, he better be watching. That's right.
Yeah.
He better be watching. Oh man. And so and I think you told me at one point that the recorded version of that song that we just listened to, that was a first take, a one take.
First take, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was like, hit the record button and let's play it. And it was like we we were so relaxed because we had been playing it a little bit, and it wasn't like a brand new song and you're still trying stuff. We kind of ironed out all the parts and stuff. And so yeah, we hit record and played it, and producer called us in, or the engineer, and said, "Check it out." And when Stephen looked at everybody and went, "We're done."
Wow.
So yeah, it was really good. Came out really great.
And I'm guessing you must have had a good. I mean, you've been playing it live, so you saw the response you got from the audience. But now that you had it recorded, you must have had a good feeling that this was going to be a big song.
Well,
This was
when we
going to.
walked in, to listen to our take, that was just the basic track,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and it was great. It was had the feel. It was super. And then them guys just killed it with the vocals.
Yeah.
Were stunning, and they're so good. And when it was all said and done, we listened to that thing. It was like, wow, this thing came out so good, and everybody was very happy. And obviously, it did well. It is still being played out there. So
All the
it's
time. Yeah.
yeah, all the time I hear it.
And when you guys did the basic tracks, did they do the vocals the same day, or was that done at a later time? Was
I
that
don't
do you remember?
remember. I really don't remember. I think back then we used to do a tracking, and maybe Steven would put a rough on, whatever,
Yeah,
something like that. But I think that, if I remember right, they used to pick days that we are going to go in and do vocals or whatever. But
that's
no,
right.
we would get, because we went on to another track after that.
I see. Yep. And the record is Daylight Again is the album that it came from. Someone had
Right.
asked Eggy Castrillo had asked what record it's from, and and you're singing backup vocals. You've provided backup vocals on that song as well.
No,
Not on
I
that
didn't
one.
do any
Okay.
singing on that. That was the three guys, and then that was Mike Finnegan and Timothy B. Schmidt.
Yeah. Yep. And Graham Nash's beautiful
Oh,
harmonized vocal in the
he,
verse.
he
Yeah.
sings so good. He still sings great. He sounds the same.
Yeah. And a crazy question to ask Joe, and I know the answer, but back in 1981 when you recorded this song, I mean, I know people were using click tracks, but I'm guessing you guys. I don't. Steven doesn't strike me as a guy that would say, "Let's put it to a click track." You just went in, and
No, we
that's
did not.
yeah,
We didn't use a click track at all.
yeah,
No. In the 1981, not a whole lot of people did. I think click tracks got a little bit more popular when like things like Lindrum came out and they were using it like
yeah,
some kind of a click, and but no, we didn't use a click track on that.
yeah. And Ed Toth, who I don't know, Ed, right? Doobie Brothers
Sure.
drummer, is watching.
Yep.
Ed, my man, good to see you, buddy. He's asking if I can ask you if Joe Lala tracked at the same time as you, if he played.
Absolutely, Ed. And how are
Absolutely.
you, brother? Ed's a good man,
As a
great
good man.
drummer.
Yeah, sure is.
Yes, we always tracked like that. I would probably be in a drum room if I remember I was in a drum booth, because, and then Joe was Lala was in a ISO booth, and we always, Stephen, he didn't have to even say so. We all wanted to do it so that we had that vibe.
Yeah,
The more the merrier, I think, when you're recording, is as close as a full scale track you should be listening to in the headphones. And the drums and percussion is such a big part of that song, or part of any song. But
yeah,
um, you know, I loved it when Lala played along. We didn't do every track like that, but very few without Joe doing the tracking date. But no, definitely that was Joe live with us.
yeah, yep. And I'm glad Ed asked that question. I'm glad we talked about that too because I think not I we've been talking about your part and Steven, of course, but you know can't say enough about Joe Lala's part in that song and what that contributes to the track. Just the way.
Right, and stuff tracks like before that, album, the album, the CSN album with the three guys on the boat, on the sailboat. That song, that the song from that, like Just a Song Before I Go, but the big Latin rock song on that album was Dark Star,
Yes.
and that was another. All those songs we did on those records, it was always me and Joe Lala. It was live, and Steven insisted on it. We're not going to overdub percussion. It's you can't it's just not right to do that.
Yeah.
When
Yep.
you're all there, it's different when you're doing build a record or something like kind of lately people do, but boy, when you got a nice big room and all the guys are there and you put mics on them, man.
Yeah. And I got to think there's just, we're old school guys, but I got to think, and Ed Toth, I think, can relate to this with the Doobie Brothers. He's got Mark Quinones playing percussion with him. There's a different feeling when you guys are in the same room together, the way you're going to play off each other. That track I know had it was already worked out. You'd had already worked out your parts, I know, but
Right.
there's just the way that you guys interact and what that can do to inspire each of you to play.
Right, right. No, no. I hope people. I hope that never changes. I hope
Yeah.
people. I know everybody. We kind of do build a record now, and especially with a lot of sessions we do that are virtual. And you do your part, and then email
Yeah.
it to me. I'll do my part. But there's nothing better than the magic that takes place in a room when you got four, five, six guys in there and they're playing because you're listening to each other. You develop your part based on what you're hearing, and they develop their part based on what you're doing, and it's just a magic takes place. I suppose there's a degree of magic, of course, in any recording, but boy, you can't deny it when you got all five, six guys in a room and you finally settle into this nice groove, this nice place, and that's the way to make records.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say enough about your playing, Joe, on this song and all the other great songs you've played on. And I put the word out, help educate younger drummers to the importance of what you do, and what so many other great drummers like yourself do, which is playing for the song, being able to listen to the song, listen to the create a great drum part and the art that goes into that. I just can't say
Yeah.
enough of the
No,
importance.
that's good to promote that, and I hope up and coming drummers and up and coming any musicians, all of them, that they realize that. And it's very easy to do build a record. It's
Yeah.
easy, and you can adjust as you go and all that. But there's no greater feeling than to walk into a control room with five six guys walk into a control room after you cut a track and you hit play and just it's like unbelievable. There's nothing better than that feeling. And you don't have to imagine what the guitar part's going to be, or you don't have to imagine what the keys are going to do. It's there. And then
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
hear it all, then you can make these great decisions as to what to do next. Or the track is great, it's done, keep it. Or okay, I know what to do now, and you stay out of this verse, you play, whatever
Hmm.
the deal is. And to hear it all at once like that is just it's just magical. I love it.
Yeah. So I love the story behind this song, and the whole backstory of you guys basically learning it, writing it on the road, taking it into the studio as really a complete song, and then just really perfecting it. I mean, to me, when you took it in the studio, you perfected it. If, you know, I'd like to sort of close this show by playing it one more time. If you're cool with that, Joe, I'd like to just,
Sure,
and
I love the song.
good. Me too. Me too. I'd like to end on the highest note possible. So I'm going to play Southern Cross one more time for everybody, and we'll have our final comments here. But here's the track one more time.
Got out of town on a boat going to Southern Islands, sailing to reach before a following sea. She was making for the trades on the outside and the downhill run to Papa Ete. Off the wind on the this heading line, the Marquesas. You got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way. In a noisy bar in Avalon, I tried to call you, but on a midnight watch I realized why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I had fallen. Spirits are using me, Lord, your voice is calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will. When you see the Southern Cross for the first time, you understand now why you came this way. 'Cause the truth you might be running from is so small, but it's as big as the promise of a coming day. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, my dreams are a-dying, and my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship, and all her flags are a-flying. She is all that I have left, and music is her name. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, Lord, your voice is calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I've been around the world. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure, and you know it will, and you know it will. So we cheated and we lied and we tested, and we never failed to fail. It was the easiest thing to do. You will survive being bested. Somebody fine will come along, make me forget about loving you in the Southern Cross.
Joe, it gets better with every listen. I'm telling you.
It's fun.
Really,
It's
oh
fun.
man, and I just before we finish the show, I want to having listened to it again just now, I failed to mention, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like when you come out of that instrumental section, or when you come out of "I've Been Around the World" and you're playing on the ride cymbal and you're doing those
Right.
fills, you deliberately really bring it down dynamically, right? You come into that
Way
last
down.
verse way down, and then it's almost like you sort of gradually come back up by the end of it, end of that.
And
But
that is exactly what was developed live.
yeah,
Because we kept doing it, and we would first time we did it, we brought it down, and then next time we did it, we brought it down a little more, and then it became a thing where okay, we really got to drop that last verse down because that's very cool dynamically for the vocals as well. But what's cool is the build back up into the
Yeah.
the chorus. So those are the kind of things I was telling you about. To develop live, and who knows if we'd have even done that if we'd have started on that song "Cold" in the studio. We might have, but it's
Right.
different when you got people in front of you and you're looking at faces and you're looking at you're getting response and stuff, and a visual response from people. And it works the other way too. If somebody doesn't like one of your new songs, at the end of the song you'll hear, but that don't work, but
Play
you'll
Dark
learn
Star.
something
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, play Woodstock.
Yeah.
Add one thing to the
Yeah.
thing where I was talking about, but getting 5 or 6 guys in a room, to record four or five, six, whatever. What's really the bonus of that is when you come in and hear the track. What's really cool is you're almost done except for vocals and maybe a lead solo or something. That's what's really good is you got all this stuff's already done, and it's
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
well, and it's done together, and so it's locked. And uh, you don't have to overdub a bunch of stuff. That doesn't mean you can't, but what's really cool is when you come in and you got a really nice fat track to listen to. You're down to, okay, we need some vocals and we need a lead overdub or whatever, and you're almost done. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's really cool.
No, I absolutely. And again, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier too. And I think I think we're not even really acknowledging the fact that what you brought to this song was all the years of being the pro and the great studio drummer that you are. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm taking that for granted, that you just had the instinct to play the way that you played and to do those things. It came naturally to you to have that dynamic, to bring it down there. And as my friend Mike Rogello, a great drummer, pointed out in his comments, not an easy song to play. I mean, we're all sort of just saying, oh yeah, 16th notes, like it's easy to play 16th notes the way you did. That is not an easy song to play at all.
No, and it's very kind of you to say that, but I listened to a lot of people before me too. I listened to everything that Hal Blaine ever did, and you learned a lot about dynamics from listening to Hal Blaine, people like
Sure.
that, and some of the greats, and of course Ringo and Charlie. Can't not listen to them. And so there were things they did if you really dig into what they did, and you learn that kind of stuff, and you apply it. Then
Yeah.
it sticks, and you apply it. And but yeah, it's I guess for me, it's hard to. I can't decipher easy or hard to play because I played it. In other words, I don't know if I had to play that having never played it, it might be difficult. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it's not a hard part. What's hard is to keep it back and not get too loud. That's really, to
Yeah.
me, the hardest part. And I had to experience that live too. You're playing live in front of a bunch of people. You just got done playing, Dark Star or Woodstock or, for what it's worth, something's rocking, and then you
Yeah.
got to do that, and you got to really learn to bring it back,
And hold
and
that tempo. I mean, to me too, like holding that 16th note pattern to that tempo that's brilliant. I mean, it's just
well,
absolutely
it's also
masterful.
you got to give credit to Steven Stills. He's there's a drummer inside of that great guitar player, and he when he plays acoustic, he doesn't even need a drummer. He's so
Yeah.
his pocket is so great on acoustic guitar, and so we worked together on that too, and he made it easy, for the groove. But anyway, I appreciate that. Who said that? I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike Rogello. Well, Joe, this has been fantastic. I so appreciate you spending time with me today. And I should have introduced you as the returning champion, Joe Vitale, now having been here 3 times. And you'll be back, my friend. You will be back because there's more great songs I'd
There's
love to
more
talk to
songs
you
to
about.
talk about. Good, good. I really
Absolutely.
love doing this. This is fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Big hand for Joe Vitale. We will be back soon. And Joe, if you'll stay with me for 1 second, I'll end the stream and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks, everybody. All right, well, that's my show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. And the podcast is available on all the podcast platforms, so download it. And remember, no drummers are ever harmed on Live from My Drum Room or Track Talk. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon. See ya.